The stars looked different from this far out. Captain Lisa Novak stood on the bridge of the horizon, her eyes fixed on the main screen. The ship had traveled farther than any human vessel before it. Their mission was simple but important: meet the Vidorians and make friends. "Captain, we're picking up their escort ships," said Alan Price, the ship's science officer. His voice was calm, but Lisa could hear the excitement underneath. This was history in the making. "Right on schedule," Lisa said. "Are our translators ready?" Alan nodded. "Yes, Captain. We've loaded all the language data they sent us. The system should handle their speech patterns well enough." The horizon slowed as 3 sleek, silver vessels approached. They moved with perfect precision, forming a triangle around the human ship. No wasted movement, no flashy maneuvers, just clean, efficient escort formation. "They're hailing us," said Diane Miller from her communication station. Her fingers moved quickly over her control panel. "On screen," Lisa ordered, straightening her uniform. The screen changed to show a tall, thin being with pale blue skin. Its large eyes didn't blink, and its mouth was small and straight. It wore something like a uniform, with symbols Lisa couldn't understand. "Greetings, Captain Novak of Earth Vessel Horizon," the alien said, its voice coming through the translator with only a slight delay. "I am First Navigator Zelk. The High Council welcomes you to Vidorian space. Please follow our escort to the diplomatic station." Lisa gave a small professional smile. "Thank you, First Navigator. We look forward to meeting the Council." The diplomatic station was a massive ring-shaped structure orbiting a small moon. As the horizon docked, Lisa gathered her team: Ambassador Kevin Barnes, Security Chief Paul Jones, and Alan Price. "Remember," Lisa said quietly as they prepared to exit the ship, "the briefing said Vidorians value control and logic above all else. They don't show emotion and might see our expressions as strange or concerning. Keep your feelings in check." Kevin nodded. "I studied their diplomatic protocols. They respect hierarchy and direct communication. No small talk, no jokes." They stepped through the airlock and into the station. A group of 5 Vidorians waited for them, standing in a perfect line. "Welcome," said the one in the center, whose uniform had more symbols than the others. "I am High Commander Toral. You will now follow me to the meeting chamber." The station corridors were clean and efficient, with no decoration or color. Lisa noticed that the Vidorians moved with perfect posture, their steps measured and identical. Everything about them screamed control. In the meeting chamber, a large table waited with seats for everyone. The humans sat on one side, the Vidorians on the other. "The High Council has authorized me to begin preliminary discussions regarding human-Vidorian relations," Toral said. "Our scans indicate your species has achieved faster than light travel only recently. Your expansion has been faster than expected." Alan Price leaned forward slightly. "We're eager to learn and grow. Your civilization has much we could learn from." Toral's expression didn't change, but something in its posture shifted. "Indeed, our records show your species has existed for a mere fraction of ours. Yet you advance quickly, if somewhat chaotically." Lisa noticed the slight tone shift. She caught Alan's eye, signaling him to proceed carefully. "Different paths can lead to similar destinations," Alan said. "We value creativity alongside logic." "Interesting," said another Vidorian, this one with markings on its face. "Our studies of your transmission suggest humans experience strong emotional states that influence decision-making. This seems inefficient." Kevin stepped in smoothly. "Emotion and logic work together in human thought. Different, perhaps, but effective in its own way." Later, as they returned to the horizon, Alan pulled Lisa aside. "Captain, did you notice how they reacted when we mentioned emotion?" Lisa nodded. They seemed concerned, almost wary. "I've been analyzing their language and cultural references," Alan said. "I think they see emotional species as unstable, possibly dangerous." Lisa looked back at the station through the viewport. "Then we'll need to be careful. Very careful. 3 days had passed since the first meeting. The Horizon crew now sat in a larger room with more Vidorians. This time, the High Council itself had come to meet the humans. Lisa watched as Ambassador Kevin Barnes explained Earth's hope for trade and knowledge sharing. The Vidorians listened without moving, their large eyes fixed on Kevin. And so, Kevin finished, we believe both our peoples would benefit from open borders and free exchange of cultural and scientific information. The lead Vidorian, who had introduced himself as Supreme Counselor Vex, tapped one long finger on the table. Your proposal has merit, but raises concerns. Your species has a history of rapid expansion. Some might call it aggressive. We explore because we're curious, Kevin said with a smile. Not because we want to conquer. Curious, Vex repeated, as if testing the word. Your historical records show many wars fought over resources and territory. Past mistakes we've learned from, Kevin replied. We come in peace. Lieutenant Gray Howard, who had been quiet until now, shifted in his seat. As the Horizon's environmental systems expert, he was there to discuss possible shared research. If I may, Greg said, Earth has developed many technologies to repair environmental damage. We'd be happy to share these with the Vidorian Empire. Vex turned his unblinking gaze to Greg. Our research suggests your planet suffered severe ecological damage before such technologies were implemented, a sign of poor foresight. Greg's face flushed slightly. We made mistakes, yes, but we fixed them. Earth is healthier now than it's been in centuries. After nearly destroying it, another counselor added, our records show your oceans were once filled with plastic waste and your atmosphere polluted beyond safe levels. Such carelessness would never occur in Vidorian society. Lisa noticed Greg's hands tighten into fists under the table. His voice remained steady, but his eyes flashed with emotion. With respect, Counselor, we learned from those mistakes. That's what humans do. We adapt and improve. The Vidorians exchanged glances. Something in their posture changed. Your emotional response is noted, Lieutenant Howard, Vex said coolly. Perhaps we should continue this discussion tomorrow. Back on the Horizon, Lisa called her team together. What happened in there? She asked Greg. Greg looked embarrassed. I'm sorry, Captain. Their dismissive attitude about Earth's environmental recovery efforts got under my skin. They noticed, Kevin said. The moment you showed emotion, their whole demeanor changed. Diane Miller, who had been monitoring Vidorian communications, spoke up. Captain, I've intercepted some concerning transmissions between the station and their homeworld. What kind of transmissions? Lisa asked. They're discussing humans as potential threats. They used a word that translates roughly as unstable beings. They seem particularly concerned about our emotional responses. Alan Price nodded. I suspected this. Their society values perfect control. Emotion represents chaos to them. The next morning, when the human delegation arrived at the meeting room, they found only 2 Vidorians waiting instead of the full council. The High Council sends regrets, one said. Urgent matters require their attention. We are authorized to continue preliminary discussions only. Later, as they walked through the station back to their ship, Lisa noticed more Vidorian security guards than before. Their movements seemed more alert, their posture more rigid. They're watching us more closely, Paul Jones whispered to her. And did you notice? Access panels to some areas have been locked that were open yesterday. Back on the Horizon, Diane rushed to meet them. Captain, they've just issued new regulations. Human movement within Vidorian territory is now restricted to designated areas only, and they're requiring a Vidorian escort for all human visitors. Lisa frowned, because Greg showed emotion. Aylin looked grim. I think they see it as confirmation of a theory. They're treating us like we're dangerous and unpredictable. What now, Captain? Kevin asked. Lisa looked out at the stars. We proceed carefully, very carefully. A week after the tense meeting, a message arrived from the Vidorian High Council. They invited a small human group to visit their homeworld for what they called a cultural exchange. They said this would help fix any misunderstandings. Lisa read the message twice. Something felt off about it. It could be a real olive branch, Kevin said. Or it could be something else. I don't like it, Paul Jones said. Why the sudden change? Lisa nodded. It does seem strange, but we can't refuse without looking hostile. After much discussion, Lisa decided to send 3 crew members: Security Chief Paul Jones, xenobiologist Susan Clark, and diplomat Eric Garcia. She would stay with the Horizon to keep an open communication line. Be careful, Lisa told them as they prepared to board the Vidorian shuttle. Stay together and check in every 6 hours. We'll be fine, Captain, Susan said with a smile. This is what we trained for. The 3 humans watched through the shuttle windows as the Vidorian homeworld grew larger. It was beautiful, with swirling blue oceans and perfectly shaped continents. When they landed, a group of Vidorians met them at the spaceport. Everything seemed normal at first. They were shown to nice rooms in a building that looked like a hotel. We have prepared a schedule for your visit, said their guide, a Vidorian named Selk. The first activity begins in 1 hour. We will come for each of you separately. Separately? Paul frowned. We would prefer to stay together. Selk's expression didn't change. Our protocols require different security checks for different roles. It is necessary. When Selk left, Paul turned to the others. I don't like this. Make sure your emergency beacons are active. Use them if anything feels wrong. 1 hour later, 3 different Vidorians came and took Paul, Susan, and Eric in different directions. Each was told this was for specialized security protocols. Paul was led to a small room with no windows. Please wait here, his guide said, then left. The door locked behind him. Similar things happened to Susan and Eric. Soon all 3 realized they weren't guests. They were prisoners. Meanwhile, on the horizon, engineer Olivia Bennett noticed something strange. Several Vidorian ships had left the station without announcement. She tracked their path. Captain, Olivia called over the ship's comm system. Those Vidorian ships that just departed. They're heading toward Proxima Centauri. Lisa frowned. Proxima Centauri was home to Earth's largest off-world colony, with over 50,000 people. Are you sure? Lisa asked, coming to the engineering section. Olivia nodded. Yes, Captain. And there's something else. Their engines are giving off strange energy readings, different from normal travel patterns. Lisa tried to contact the Vidorian command on the station. This is Captain Novak. We've noticed ships heading toward human territory. Can you explain their purpose? The Vidorian commander seemed unbothered. Routine patrol adjustment. Nothing that concerns your species. Those ships are giving off unusual energy signatures, Lisa said. A technical misunderstanding. Your sensors are less advanced than ours. Something in his tone made Lisa's skin crawl. She tried to contact her team on the Vidorian homeworld, but got no response. Diane, keep trying to reach Paul and the others, Lisa ordered. Olivia, I want constant monitoring of those ships. Something's not right. 12 hours passed with no word from the away team. Then Diane's console lit up with emergency alerts from Earth Space Command. Captain, Diane's voice shook. The colony on Proxima Centauri is under attack. The Vidorian ships just opened fire on the main settlement. Get me Earth Command now. Lisa ordered, her heart racing, and prepare the horizon for immediate departure. As the terrible news came in, Lisa realized the truth. The cultural exchange had been a trap. The Vidorians had taken her crew members hostage while planning an attack on humanity. The horizon raced through space toward Proxima Centauri. The crew worked in tense silence, each person focused on their task. Lisa stood at the command center, her face grim. ETA to Proxima Centauri, she asked. 4 hours at maximum speed, Captain, the navigation officer replied. Lisa nodded. Diane, any response from Earth Command? Yes, Captain. They're sending ships, but they're at least 10 hours away. The Horizon would be the first human ship to arrive. Lisa knew they couldn't fight an entire Vidorian fleet, but they had to help the colonists. Any contact with our team on the Vidorian homeworld? Lisa asked. Diane shook her head. Nothing, Captain. All channels are blocked. 3.5 hours later, the Horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Proxima Centauri. What they saw made them all freeze in horror. The main colony, New Hope City, was burning. Huge black smoke clouds rose from the settlement. In orbit, 5 large Vidorian warships moved in formation, occasionally firing at targets on the ground. Scan for life signs, Lisa ordered, her voice tight. Alan worked quickly at his station. Many dead, he reported quietly. But there are survivors. Most are gathered in the underground emergency shelters. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the lead Vidorian vessel, Diane said. On screen, Lisa ordered. The main view screen showed a Vidorian in an ornate uniform with many symbols. His face showed no emotion, but his posture suggested pride. Attention human vessel, he said. I am Supreme Commander Tark of the Vidorian Empire. You will power down your weapon systems and maintain your position. This is Captain Lisa Novak of Earth Vessel Horizon, Lisa replied, struggling to keep her voice steady. You have attacked a peaceful human colony. Explain your actions immediately. Your explanation is not required, Tark said. The Vidorian High Council has determined that human expansion represents an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. Your emotional and unpredictable nature makes your species dangerous. You've killed thousands of innocent people, Lisa said, anger filling her voice. A necessary security action, Tark replied without emotion. And now, observe. The screen split to show a second image. Paul, Susan, and Eric were in a bare room, guarded by armed Vidorians. Your delegation remains in our custody, Tark continued. The Vidorian Empire offers these terms. Humans will restrict all activities to your home solar system. You will submit to Vidorian oversight of all space travel. You will provide resources as required by the Empire. Lisa's hands gripped the edge of her command console. And if we refuse? The colony you see now is merely a demonstration, Tark said. We can reach Earth just as easily. Additionally, your delegates will be executed immediately. Communications Officer Frank Martinez whispered to Lisa, Captain, I can use our emergency channel to send everything we're seeing to Earth. The Vidorians don't know about that frequency. Lisa gave a tiny nod. You have 48 Earth hours to relay our terms to your government and provide their acceptance, Tark continued. Until then, we will hold position here. The screen went back to showing only Tark. I await your government's wise decision, Tark said, then cut the transmission. Frank, send everything to Earth now, Lisa ordered, and keep sending until they jam us. Yes, Captain, Frank said, working quickly at his station. Minutes later, Frank looked up. Message sent, Captain. Earth has received our transmission. Lisa turned to her crew. Their faces showed shock, grief, and anger. Listen to me, she said firmly. What happened here is terrible. But we need to focus. There are survivors down there who need our help, and we need to find a way to rescue our people. She looked at the burning colony on the screen. The Vidorians think they understand humans, she said. They're about to learn how wrong they are. On Earth, the emergency meeting room of the United Earth Defense Council was filled with grim faces. The footage from Proxima Centauri be played on the large screen. No one spoke as they watched the burning colony and heard Supreme Commander Tark's demands. When the video ended, the room stayed silent for several seconds. How many dead? Asked President Sam Carter finally. Early estimates suggest 3,000 civilians, replied Admiral Olivia Reyes. Most were in the open-air market when the attack began. And how many survivors? Approximately 20,000 in the underground shelters. The Horizon is helping them now. The president looked around the table. Options. Commander Carol Peterson stood up. She was head of Earth Central Command and known for creative military thinking. "Sir, the Vidorians expect either surrender or a direct military response," she said, "but we need to do something they won't expect." "Go on," the president said. Carol pulled up a star map on the screen. "The Vidorians think in straight lines. Their tactics are logical and direct. They expect us to either accept their terms or launch a frontal attack." "Which would fail," Admiral Rice said. "Their ships outgun ours by a considerable margin." "Yes," Carol agreed, "but we have advantages they don't understand." Dr. Jason Wright, the leading expert on alien psychology, joined the conversation. "Commander Peterson is right. I've studied all our data on Vidorian culture. They understand force and logic, but they have no framework for concepts like righteous anger or vengeance." "What do you mean?" asked the president. "They attacked us because they fear our emotions make us unpredictable," Jason explained. "But they don't understand how those same emotions can focus our resolve. They have no concept of the human response to seeing innocent people murdered." "So what do we do?" asked Defense Secretary Pat Warren. Carol pointed to several locations on the star map. "We make them think we're planning a direct attack. Meanwhile, we use our new stealth technology to position ships here, and here." The others studied the location she indicated. "That's a complex maneuver," Admiral Rice said slowly, "but it might work." "And are people being held hostage?" the president asked. "I propose a small rescue team," Carol said, "using the experimental stealth shuttle. While the Vidorians watch our main fleet gather, the team slips behind their lines." The president thought for a moment. "This plan risks everything on technology the Vidorians haven't seen yet." "That's our advantage," Jason said. "The Vidorians dismissed several human innovations because they developed through intuitive leaps rather than logical progression. They think their ships can see everything. They're wrong." The president stood up. "Very well. Implement Commander Peterson's plan. But first, we'll use diplomatic channels to buy time." He turned to the UN ambassador. "Contact the Vidorians. Tell them Earth needs more time to consider their terms. Ask for a 5-day extension to their deadline." "They'll see through that," someone said. "Of course they will," the president replied. "But they'll grant it anyway because they believe it gives them an advantage. They don't understand that for humans, anger focuses our minds wonderfully." Later that day, Dr. Wright visited the Special Operations Facility where a team was preparing for the rescue mission. "There's something you should know," he told Laura Wilson, the team leader. "The Vidorians will be monitoring your brainwaves if they capture you. Their technology can detect lies based on neural patterns." Laura nodded. "So we can't lie to them." "Noted." "It's more than that," Jason said. "They've studied human brains but don't understand how emotion affects our neural pathways. If you need to hide something from them, don't lie. Get angry. Real anger creates neural patterns they can't interpret." Laura smiled grimly. "That won't be a problem. When I think about what they did to those colonists, anger comes very naturally." The stealth shuttle Phantom moved silently through space. On board, Laura Wilson and her team of 5 special operations experts checked their gear one last time. Each person was a specialist. Jack Blair handled communications, Maria Lopes was the tech expert, Steve Grant was their combat leader, Nate Rogers was the medic, and Kim Lee was their pilot. "We're approaching Vidorian space," Kim said quietly, though there was no need to whisper in space. "Their patrol ships are right where intelligence said they would be." Laura looked at the screen. A Vidorian patrol vessel passed within 5 kilometers of them, but gave no sign of detecting their presence. "Dr. Taylor's stealth system works," she said with a small smile. Richard Taylor was Earth's most brilliant scientist. He had developed the stealth technology in half the time the military had expected. When asked how, he simply said, "Because innocent people are dying while we work." "The main human fleet has begun its movement," Jack reported, listening to encrypted communications. All Vidorian attention is focused on them. The human plan was in motion. Earth had gathered its fleet in a very visible way. The ships moved slowly toward Proxima Centauri, making no attempt to hide. Meanwhile, several smaller groups of ships with the new stealth technology were moving into position around Vidorian territory. "We're clear to proceed to the homeworld," Laura said. "Kim, take us in." The shuttle changed course, heading deeper into Vidorian space. Their mission had two goals: rescue the human hostages and gather intelligence on Vidorian defenses. "How will we find our people?" Steve asked. Maria pulled up a holographic display. The Horizon managed to track their emergency beacons before they were jammed. "We have a general location in the capital city. Once we're closer, our sensors should be able to detect human biosigns." The shuttle slipped past the outer defenses of the Vidorian homeworld and entered the atmosphere at night, landing in a wooded area outside the capital city. "Activate your personal stealth units," Laura ordered. The team tapped controls on their wrists, and their suits shimmered slightly before adapting to their surroundings, making them hard to see. They moved through the dark streets of the Vidorian capital. The city was quiet and orderly, with none of the noise or chaos of human cities. The buildings were all perfectly aligned, with clean, straight lines. "Their whole society is about order and control," Laura whispered as they hid from a passing patrol. "Like the opposite of humans," Nate replied. Maria's scanner beeped softly. "I'm picking up human biosigns. 200 meters ahead, in that large building." The team approached carefully. The building appeared to be a government center, with minimal security outside. Laura frowned. "This seems too easy." "Maybe they don't expect anyone to be able to reach their homeworld," Steve suggested. "Or maybe they're overconfident," Jack added. They found a side entrance and Maria quickly bypassed the security system. Inside, they moved silently through empty corridors, following the scanner's directions. "Down this hallway," Maria whispered. "Last door on the left." The team stacked up outside the door. Laura signaled, and Steve placed a small device on the lock. There was a soft hiss, and the door slid open. Inside, they found Paul, Susan, and Eric in a plain room with 3 beds. The humans looked up in surprise. "Quiet," Laura whispered, putting a finger to her lips. "We're getting you out of here." "How did you find us?" Paul asked as the team cut off the restraints that bound the prisoners to their beds. "No time to explain now," Laura replied. "Can you all walk?" They nodded. As they prepared to leave, Maria was scanning the Vidorian systems using a special device connected to a terminal in the room. "Laura, you need to see this," she said urgently. Laura looked at the data on Maria's screen. It showed the Vidorian defense grid, including the locations of all their major weapons platforms and fleet positions. "They've left their orbital defenses weakened," Maria said. "Almost everything is focused on the approaching human fleet." Laura smiled grimly. "They've made a critical error. They're so focused on what they expect us to do that they've left themselves vulnerable to what they think is impossible." She tapped her secure communicator. "This is Phantom Team. We have the package and critical intelligence. The back door is open. I repeat, the back door is open." Across Vidorian space, hidden human ships received the message and prepared to strike. Supreme Commander Tark stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the approaching human fleet on the main screen. His expression remained neutral, but inside he felt satisfaction. The humans were behaving exactly as predicted. "They send their ships directly at us," he said to his second-in-command, "just as our strategic analysis indicated they would." "Yes, Supreme Commander," the officer replied. "Their emotional nature makes them predictable. They seek revenge without proper planning." The human fleet was impressive in size, but moved in a straight formation toward the Vidorian ships. Guarding Proxima Centauri B. Tark had positioned his forces perfectly to intercept them. "They will enter our weapons range in 30 minutes, an officer reported. "Prepare all systems," Tark ordered. We will show them the price of challenging the Vidorian Empire. What Tark didn't know was that the approaching fleet was following a very specific plan. On the bridge of the human flagship Defiance, Captain Lisa Novak watched her tactical display carefully. Status of Stealth Group Alpha, she asked her communications officer. In position behind the Vidorian defense line, came the reply. Groups Beta and Gamma are also in place. Phantom Team reports hostages secured and quantum disruptors planted throughout the Vidorian command network. Lisa nodded. Tell all ships to prepare for Phase 2. When the disruptors activate, we execute the pincer movement immediately. On the Vidorian homeworld, Laura's team raced back to their shuttle with the rescued hostages. Maria stayed focused on her tablet, monitoring the quantum disruptors they had placed in key locations throughout the Vidorian command center. 30 seconds until activation, she reported as they reached the Phantom. The quantum disruptors were another human innovation the Vidorians had dismissed as theoretical and impractical. But Richard Taylor had made them work, creating devices that could temporarily disable Vidorian communications and sensors. Everyone aboard, Laura ordered. Kim, get us clear of the atmosphere before those disruptors hit. The shuttle lifted off as the countdown reached 0. Across Vidorian space, the disruptors activated simultaneously. On Tark's flagship, screens went blank and communications cut out. What is happening? Tark demanded. Unknown interference, Supreme Commander. A technician replied, working frantically at his station. Our command network is experiencing failures across all sectors. Impossible, Tark said. Restore systems immediately. Sir, another officer called out, his voice showing rare Vidorian alarm. Sensors are detecting new ships. They're appearing from nowhere. As the Vidorian sensors came back online, they revealed a nightmare scenario. 3 groups of human ships had somehow positioned themselves behind and to the sides of the Vidorian fleet. The humans hadn't been planning a frontal assault at all. How did they get past our detection grid? Tark demanded. Before anyone could answer, the human ships opened fire from all directions. The carefully positioned Vidorian formation, designed to face a frontal attack, was now caught in a devastating crossfire. On the Defiance, Lisa watched as the battle unfolded according to Commander Peterson's plan. The Vidorians are trying to regroup, her tactical officer reported, but their formations are breaking apart. Press the advantage, Lisa ordered. Don't give them time to reorganize. The human ships moved with coordinated precision, exploiting gaps in the Vidorian formation. Unlike the logical, predictable patterns of Vidorian tactics, the human ships seemed to dance through space, adjusting their movements in ways the Vidorians couldn't anticipate. Within an hour, half the Vidorian fleet was disabled or destroyed. The remaining ships attempted to retreat, but found their escape routes blocked by more stealth human vessels that had positioned themselves during the battle. Supreme Commander, an officer said to Tark, we are surrounded. The humans have achieved tactical superiority. For the first time, Tark's face showed emotion, confusion, and disbelief. The main screen on his flagship activated, showing Captain Lisa Novak. Supreme Commander Tark, she said, her voice firm and controlled. This is Captain Novak of the Earth ship Defiance. Your fleet is defeated. Your command network is compromised. Your homeworld defenses have been breached. She paused, her eyes hard. You have one opportunity to surrender. 2 weeks after the battle, a special meeting room on a neutral space station was filled with delegates from both sides. The Vidorian High Council sat on one side of the large table, their posture stiff and formal. On the other side sat the human delegation, led by veteran negotiator Daniel Harper. Supreme Commander Tark was noticeably absent. After his surrender, the Vidorian leadership had removed him from his position. The new Supreme Commander, Nelk, sat in his place, looking uncomfortable. We are ready to proceed with the treaty discussion, the lead Vidorian counselor announced. Daniel nodded. Thank you, Counselor Vex. Earth is also ready. Many had expected the humans to demand harsh terms after what happened at Proxima Centauri b. The Vidorians certainly expected it. They had prepared arguments to reduce whatever punishment the humans might demand. Instead, Daniel placed a single document on the table. "These are our terms," he said simply. "We ask for three things. First, full reparations to rebuild the colony and compensate the families of those who died. Second, a formal recognition of all human territory and free passage through neutral space. Third, a cultural exchange program where both our peoples can learn about each other properly." The Vidorians stared at the document, then at each other. "That? It's all?" Counselor Vex asked carefully. "Yes," Daniel replied. "We do not seek to conquer or control the Vidorian Empire. We never did." The room was silent for a moment. "I don't understand," Nelk said finally. "You have the military advantage. You could demand much more." Daniel looked at him steadily. "That's not who we are. Humans don't want revenge. We want justice and peace." After the meeting, as the Vidorians discussed the terms privately, one of their cultural analysts approached Vex. "Counselor, I believe I understand now," the analyst said. "Humans fight hardest not when their own lives are threatened, but when innocent lives are taken. And they stop fighting when justice is achieved." Vex looked thoughtful. "A strange concept, but one we should study more carefully." 6 months later, Captain Lisa Novak stood on the bridge of the horizon once more. The ship was orbiting the Vidorian homeworld, but this time as an honored guest rather than an intruder. "The new embassy is ready for inspection," Captain Paul Jones reported. The security chief had recovered well from his time as a hostage. Lisa nodded. "Let's go see it." The building that would serve as the first permanent human diplomatic outpost in Vidorian space was a blend of both cultures' architecture. It had the clean lines the Vidorians preferred, but also curved sections and gardens that humans found comforting. As Lisa walked through the main hall with Paul and Susan Clark, a group of young Vidorians approached them. They were students, part of a new academic program studying human culture. "Captain Novak," one of them said, "we have a question, if you would answer." "Of course," Lisa replied with a smile. "Our professors say humans are driven by emotion, yet your response to our attack was logical and measured. How do you reconcile these things?" Lisa thought for a moment. "Emotion and logic aren't opposites for us. They work together. Our emotions give us purpose, while our minds give us direction." The students looked fascinated, taking notes on their devices. Later, in a private meeting with the new Vidorian leadership, Lisa noticed something different. The Vidorians still maintained formal postures, but they seemed more attentive, more engaged. "We have reviewed all records of our first contact," Counselor Vex told her. "We made a serious error in judgment. We saw your emotions as weakness. We now understand they are the source of your greatest strength." Lisa nodded. Different doesn't mean better or worse, just different. As the Horizon prepared to leave orbit the next day, Lisa received a message from Earth Command. New explorations were being planned, with joint human-Vidorian scientific teams. The alliance that had begun in such conflict was evolving into something neither side had imagined. Looking at the Vidorian homeworld on her view screen, Lisa smiled. Sometimes the hardest lessons were the most important ones. The Vidorians had learned why humans should never be angered, but they were also learning why humans made such valuable friends.